For many are celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival and National Day holiday. One way people celebrate is sharing a meal with friends and loved ones. In 2020, the Chinese government launched a nationwide anti-food waste effort called the Clean Plate Campaign. Today, that same campaign aims at curbing food excess and waste in homes and during celebrations. To help us break all of this down and what it all means, Changhua Wu joins us. She is the China director at the Office of Jeremy Rifkin. And, let's just talk a little bit about this campaign. You see with holidays, and I think it applies to China, the U.S., the rest of the world, you bring family together, you bring friends, you want an abundance of food as a form of celebration, but then you get into food waste, don't you?
Absolutely. I think today is also sort of an interesting day in terms of reminding people, particularly from China perspective, because we have both the Mid-Autumn Festival as well as the National Day holiday. We call it a double holiday breaks there. So people are getting together and with family, with friends to celebrate. And we all know how important actually the Chinese culture is in terms of food. And so this is the moment reminding everyone that, we shall not really waste our food. Of course, you need to eat delicious, healthy food and celebrating with your family, with your friends. But in the meantime, be conscious of the food waste issues there to make sure to be responsible, for not only your own family, but also for the planet as well.
And when we waste food, it's not just all that energy that went into it, the water that it needs to grow, the packaging and all of that. When it gets dumped out, it ends up in a landfill, it starts to decompose, and then we're talking about methane. And it's estimated that food waste is responsible for up to 10% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. A lot of people don't know that. It's a big problem, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. What's encouraging is that I think from the global perspective, including UN and then down to the national level, local level, we started to really know more because scholars, scientists, organizations, including governments, multinational organizations there, are putting a lot of reality on the table and make it visible to the general public. So generally speaking, I think, in particular from China perspective, there has been an dramatic increase in terms of public awareness, particularly because driven by, this national campaign, we call it Clean Plate Campaign, which has been going on for a few years in China already. And you started to see, we're all consumers. When we go to restaurant, we order food, somehow you have this sort of a sense, awareness, consciousness actually inside your mind. Basically, I don't want to order too much. I don't want to waste food, stuff like that. As you mentioned, and it's not just about food waste, it's about actually the land, the water, the energy, the nutrients in the food, but also actually in terms of the economic and social impact. If you look at farmers, businesses, everyone on the value chain ends up as a loser. And if we continue to such kind of practice, actually, food loss and waste. So I think this probably also represent a sort of tipping point in terms of hopefully somehow the awareness is there and people started to really take actions from the individual personal perspective, so that we'll be able to come together. So as consumer, we need to be responsible. In the meantime, actually, from the food production, harvest, processing, storage, and consumption. So this whole value chain perspective, we need to all act together. On one side, of course, we need to protect the environment, and in the meantime, we really enhance the value creation, the benefit to business, farmers, individual consumer, to everyone. It's a really win-win-win situation. If we continue such a stupid, acts down the road, I think we're all doomed. How could we really tackle global crises like climate change, like biodiversity conservation, things like that. So yeah, this is a time to act together.
Yeah, and demonstrating just how important methane and trying to curb it. We all remember at the end of the Glasgow COP that the U.S. and China, who've disagreed about a lot of things, came together to say, let's work together on methane. Let me ask you this about China and how it's transforming food systems to reduce food loss and waste. What are you seeing there?
Well, I think top-down driven efforts definitely has been in implementation, and not only just a campaigning effort, but in the meantime, we started to have anti-food waste law started being effective since April 2021. So the government regulators, legislators really have been putting together legislation, supervision, longer-term sort of measurement, as well as actually public awareness. So you started to see this really very, very strong and clear top-down driven efforts from China already. Definitely we started to witness changes there. But in the meantime, I think from the bottom-up part, particularly back down to individual perspective, you started to see not only individual personal behavior change, but a lot of organizations actually are putting efforts in terms of how to address some specific issues there. For instance, food banking. And so, yes, for restaurants, bakery, food stores, whatever, maybe they will end up some sort of waste, left over at the end of the day, but they are not expired yet. And so they could be turned into, continue to be used to be distributed, collected, distributed to other sources, actually, population, particular people who are relatively poor and disadvantaged.
Yeah, it was great to see. Changhua Wu, always a delight talking to you. Thanks so much for your insights.
Thank you.